Here we go. Okay. Okay, so everything is set. So I miscounted the days. It turned out that it was not 7 or 8 days that I was counting. I don't know how. I miscounted the days, and eventually it turned out that it's been 12 days. Today's day 12 of this kind of drawing challenge that I created for myself. Hi there. And yeah, this is so weird. This is like, I miscounted the days, I counted the videos, and then I came up with the fact that it's day 12. So, wow, I'm shocked myself that I'm keeping up with this. So, yeah, so I'm gonna slurp my coffee. Sorry, guys. Today it's such a nice weather, and I'm sitting outside, and I hope you can see clearly, like, the drawing here. Okay, so let's continue where we left off yesterday. And yesterday, what I was doing, I started working on the hair, and I have my scribbler brush, okay, and I have different sizes here that I kind of created just to make that texture. So if you look, okay, I need to go to my this layer. So if you look, this is the size that I'm working on, or this is the size that I'm working on, okay? So for now, I think I'm gonna keep to the small one because it's easier to control, and maybe then I will be changing the brush size. But for now, what I want to do is I'm going to first move a bit to this side because I'm sitting next to the wall and it's very uncomfortable. Sorry. So now let's go on to the layer where we were working. And this time I didn't blend the line with the color layer because this way I can remove the line where I don't need it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to color pick and fix that edge. And this way I keep my character drawing in place. And at the same time, actually, if we go with a bigger brush, let's try what does it do with the edge. This is interesting. So maybe for the edges, we can use a bigger brush. This is too big here for these. Okay, and here maybe be a bit darker where the hair kind of grows out from. And let's blend it out. Okay, so here, let's start adding the color and fixing that shape of those little puffy hairs. I love drawing the hairs that stick out. I usually have my hair constantly sticking out, making ponytails and stuff. Also, my daughter, she has this type of hair that it just sticks out. Like nothing you can do. You make perfect smooth ponytails and just sticks out. Let's see. It's the line layer. No, what layer is this then? Oh, okay. This is my pencil layer. So I'm using the same brush. Usually, yeah, yes. So I'm using the same brush to erase the same one as the one that I'm using to make like color and render on top. And as you can see here, this color, we were making a ginger girl, but this color is actually not ginger. Like if you take a look, it's red. So look, oh sorry. So look, if I open up this, like this is ginger. Here we go already into the reds, and it's really nice because I really love this layer of color burn on top of it because this way it allows me to keep more interesting more interesting colors in the drawing. Okay, so here I'm gonna go a bit darker. fixing the shape here. Let's look from afar. Okay, that looks nice. I would actually almost move this hair thingy. Fine, we can do it later. Okay, like I would just move it just a tad to the side, like further away from this one because it's repeating itself. It's doing thing. Hey, fix it. So this is more organic, more interesting. So okay, let's go over here and add that shadow where the hairs are coming from, like where they're growing from. And let's add this color that we have here on the edge. I'm constantly color picking, so this way I maintain more hues in my drawing. And I'm covering up the line. If I went over too far, then I'm gonna go over it again, like here with the eraser, for example. Like this, you can see line, ta-da, disappears. No line. We have a drawing without a line. Okay, so this is the look we're trying to go for. Blending it into that line. So this is a technique I totally picked up from cake coloring. So constantly, can't stop repeating it. It's not me inventing something. Oh my gosh, no, in no way. And I'm using different brusher to create more opaque and less opaque kind of pencil scribbles. Okay, take a look from afar. Nice. Finally, I allowed myself to actually do things. For now, I'm on that moment, like in that moment. Oh, thank you so much for the like. I'm in that moment where I'm not scared to do things the way I like them. So here we will have a darker area behind the ear. I'm gonna darken it up already. So before, at the ugly stage of a drawing, I would just stop. I would just stop and fix that area of the ear here. I don't want to lose that line. Okay, and this is like, it's the terrible part where you start beating yourself up for it because you're like, you didn't even finish, and like you're not good enough because you tried and you failed, but in reality, you didn't even give it a go because you stopped mm, at an ugly stage of the drawing. And eventually, oh, hi guys. Wow, this is like a lot of people watching me today. So yeah, I understood that I wasn't even giving myself a chance to create that drawing, to like finish this better than nothing. This is my like, seriously, I need to tattoo it on my forehead, and every time I look in the mirror, no, I don't look in the mirror that often. I need to tattoo it somewhere I can see it. By the way, speaking of tattoos, I wanted to show you guys. Yesterday I went to physio, and it was just a coincidence that I got lost while speaking to my partner on the phone, telling him about the first session of physio that I went through, how it went. And I got lost and I ended up by a tattoo salon. And I have this kind of the dragonfly drawing I already did previously, but I was always like, yeah, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. And yesterday, finally, I entered, and the coincidence was that the person that had to come, there was only one tattoo artist in the morning there, and the person that had to come just didn't show up. And there was a free spot, and the lady that came in after me, she was like, "Oh, is there any spots without an appointment?" And the lady at the reception said, "No, no, there's this girl that is already like signed up." And yeah, I got my tattoo done yesterday, the one that I wanted for a very long time and was putting off and putting off and putting off. Okay, so here I'm fixing the shape of that ear, going over the line of the ear. Okay, I'm gonna take a lighter color so we can detach it from the hair a bit. So here I'm fixing the shape of the ear based on the line of the ear. So that first of all, we have the ear separated from the hair. Good. And here I'm going to scribble in that shadow. Then I will also kind of fix the color. So you can see now, you can see the ear kind of here, it's a mess still, but here the ear already stands out and it has kind of a shadow here. And even though this hair is lighter, still we need to like improve a bit the lights here. We need to darken this hair up so the fringe kind of comes forward. And sorry, slurping the coffee. Uh, so the fringe comes forward, but it's like one step at a time. That's why these lives are very important to me because it's incredible how much you allow yourself to neglect of your own work when you're doing it alone. Because when I was doing drawings alone, like without doing the live, I would seriously scrap so many of them. And I will show you just shortly. I will show you. So here is my Nayas folder. These are all the drawings that were started, and they're not all here because they were deleted. So the renders that I did, it's like, it's crazy. So this one is the last one that I started doing already with watercolor, and still I didn't like it. And I was like, oh my God, this is horrible, and I'm not gonna touch it. But we're gonna touch it. We're gonna do it. And because I have set like this thing for myself that if I can do it, then there's nothing I can't do, basically. Okay, I'm gonna add this shadow here, separate the fringe. So the same color that I had here, so the same reds. I'm going to add them over here to separate the hair. And here we add a bit of lighter color to separate one from the, actually this is the wrong side. Here we need to add a bit of lighter color to separate it. And here we go even darker, like so. This is where the hair kind of grows from. And I'm going to start blending with this darkest color to separate that fringe from, and I'm going into the color of watercolor that I already, like into the texture of watercolor that I already created, to separate the fringe from the hair that is like behind it. And now what I'm doing light pressure as I'm going into this darker color. I'm going to be mixing them together. For this color here. Ah, that's why it wasn't working. Okay. And I changed the size of the brush unwillingly. And we like this red color here that we can add into here. That's only to separate the fringe for now. I'm going back and forth and just scribbling with my scribbler brush. I love this brush. Um, to create that kind of textured transition between the colors. If you can hear the scratching on my iPad kind of glass, it's because I have this magnetic kind of paper-like texture on top of my iPad glass. Kind of makes me feel better that I'm not scratching my iPad with the pencil. And also it creates that traction that you feel with a pencil. And it sounds like a pencil. This is so cool. It sounds like a graphite pencil on the paper. And I found those on Amazon. You can find a lot of different ones. If you want, I can share it with you guys later if you're interested. But okay, let's take a look from afar. So now you can see how much that fringe came out in front. Okay, so let's do the part of the fringe here. So we're gonna bring it more forward even by fixing the shape. I'm gonna pick those yellows to contrast that color. But I want to keep the watercolor texture. Okay. Need something brighter yellow. Let's look for something brighter yellow here. Okay, so now it looks like a pencil line here that separates the two. And here I'm mixing the two colors together. I'm going into this kind of something in between the yellow from here and orange from here. And here I'm going to add this color. I don't want to add the same shadow value. Just want to make it just a tad darker. Select a color just to show that it comes from, like, that there's a shadow there. Okay, so I'm going to pick shadow color over here and just blend it into my watercolor texture, like so. Because we have this line like separating the two parts of the hair, like the clumps of the hair. And here maybe I'm gonna make it not as dark. Mix the two colors like so. And I'm working in the direction of the growth of the hair, basically. So here it's going to be darker because this part is going to be lighter. So I'm separating the clumps just with the values. The clumps of hair. I want to try out, and every time that I draw, it doesn't come out. The hair that I draw comes out in these sharper kind of shapes. But I want to try out the bubble hair. I really like the look of the bubble hair. Like Isabella Agosti and Kate Coloring, they both do this bubble hair. So sorry, slurping the coffee again. So I'm moving in this direction of the hair. And what I want to do is I want to finish this piece first, maybe, and then come back here. So here I have a darker area where there's like this shadow between parts of the hair. Okay, and I don't want to lose that watercolor texture though. I'm just adding a bit of gradient. There's a little boy, he's so cute, screaming adios to someone. There's no grandma or someone. Okay, and now here I'm gonna pick this color that is light and start covering that line and adding a bit of light over here to create that difference between the two clumps of hair. I'm gonna see maybe if it's brighter here. Okay. Like so. And then move aside. And now here I can see that the line is basically gone. But at the same time, we have like this interesting textures, and the hair is not just flat. Can't say that I'm 100% happy with it, but this'll do. That'll do, pig. That'll do. As the famous movie quotes. I'm adding a bit of that pink and unify. I don't want this line to be more prominent. I'm okay with it. Blending the colors that are local into this shadow part. Maybe some yellows. This is what I was speaking about, this line, for example. If I want, I can go here. I can erase that line. And it's not going to appear there at all. Okay, so here I want to keep it because maybe, or maybe not. Maybe I want to erase it in places. Maybe continue it from the other area here. So I'm going to go back onto my upper layer. And here I'm going to add that shadow where the hair kind of grows out from. And start blending it in. Like, you know, usually the hair at the roots is always darker than the hair at the tips. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm adding that darkness. The roots. And basically getting rid of those lines with the help of values. And here in the shadows, I don't need that watercolor texture too much also. Okay, let's take a look. I don't know if I like this area. That's okay, we'll come back to it in case. Okay, so here, let's correct now the shape, the hair. Like so. Okay. And blending it into the color of the face. So there are oranges and kind of pinks and purples here happening. Picking the color that is kind of juicier so she doesn't look too pale. Fixing the shape of my hair. Because with the Cape Boy, what I did is I went too much into into like pale colors on his, like, I think it was the knees and stuff. Okay, this looks nice. I'm actually thinking this thing should be above here. Because look, the difference, because if we put it above, what it does, it creates these colors, not taking into consideration like the color burn layer that I have here, this one, the color variation. No, I think I like it even better like this. So it gives this kind of variation to the pencil as well. Okay, and then in the end, when we blend, like kind of merge everything together, we can fix that as well. Okay. So what I want to do here is I want to get rid of this line. Too many lines. I don't like it anymore. Leave it maybe there. And maybe here also we can get rid of it. Just to show that difference here between the different clumps of the hair, but okay. And here I think I can remove this texture. I don't need it because I can leave the watercolor texture, go back into this part and erase that line so that I keep more of the watercolor texture in here. It's gonna be prettier, at least I think so. Okay, so let's go in this local color. Make the hair a bit brighter here in some places. And here we can add a bit of that shadow in between the hairs because this one is kind of on top. And here we also need a bit of shadow. To a bit darker shadow just to separate the two clumps of hair. I'm adding this color on top. And then I'm going to be adding the local colors. Kind of blend things in by scribbling. So, and moving in the direction of my hair growth. Okay, and here I want to go with the local color, like so. And fix that tip of the hair. There we go. Okay. And here I need to blend it. I blend it in a bit more. Let's see if I want this line. And I go into my line layer. So you see, this is so much cooler. Oh my god. When you have the lines still there. So I see the lines that I don't need now. You can get rid of them without having to worry to cover them up, covering them up with the pencil texture and removing that watercolor texture, the beautiful watercolor texture that we created. Here I'm gonna go with that orange we had, cover up a bit parts that I missed with the watercolor. That's why pencils and watercolor are a perfect combination. So, and here I'm gonna just add a bit of that shadow color. So this is why lines are cool to have, because you can You can kind of start with the lines, take the colors, pick the colors for the shadows. I will show you. I have it in light, yes, light burn, linear burn, sorry, in linear burn mode. And like this, I can select the colors that I need for the shadow areas without having to create another layer of shadows and just rendering it directly. I know that this one, this technique, um, it takes time, but I think it creates very beautiful hand drawn textures. I'm gonna add this shadow here under this clump of hair. So, and gradually blend it back in. I figured out a way also how to keep the birds quieter while I'm drawing in the mornings because I started putting them the food because usually I fed them after I finished drawing because it was like, later in the morning. But now I'm giving them the food straight as I wake up, and they are very busy eating it. So they're not screaming, especially obscenities like one of them. I'm not gonna point the fingers, but the biggest one, the noisiest one. Yesterday, God, we have the crazy thing is that we have a church right under our balcony. And that bird swears blasphemous. She doesn't just swear, she swears blasphemous. Like, you, God, I was so ashamed yesterday when she was screaming because the door is open to the balcony and you can hear what she's screaming. She screams quite loud. So, yeah, that was fun. Now I'm managing to keep them quieter, and I hope you guys can hear me better. Okay, let's take a look. Oh, yeah, I like it better like this without lines here. Maybe this even this part. Maybe here we can remove a bit of this texture and go back into this layer and remove a bit of those lines as well. So not to make it so linear. I'm so sorry for slurping. So okay, let's move on a bit to the ear. I want like I'm a bit like we can go back to the hair, like go back and forth. And so I'm gonna go here and here. What I want to do, I want to keep that line so I know where to add my color. I'm picking the color that is closest to the edge and covering the area with that color. I want to say hue all the time because this is what usually they call it, hue. Like color has a name in like drawing circles. It has the color of like they call color hue, but I don't want to confuse anyone, so I'm trying to stick to saying color, color, color. And I'm working mostly on the edges here. So here I want to add it the lightest color that I have at the bottom to detach it from the hair underneath. And then just blend it in together with the rest of the ear. Like when you're working with traditional pencils, what you do is you kind of mix the colors by doing these um, glazing, I would say, like in watercolor, you do glazing, like one pencil on top of the other, and you create these beautiful hues. So you can see now that the ear looks better. Maybe this is a bit too dark. Like a little bit lighter. Okay, this is, I think this effect we're getting it because of the color burn layer underneath. So on top, I mean, sorry. But we're gonna fix that once we get blend, like once we merge all the layers together. So here, I'm gonna select that color of the skin, fix the shape of the head. I like kind of this, using this color burn texture over the top, because this way you are a bit like you are a bit no, let's keep it separated. Like you're a bit stuck with the surprising color that you get because of the color burn over the top. So it kind of creates that interesting color variation at the same time, and you don't know what to really expect, then you can go on and fix it over the top, of course. But the point is that it's very interesting. Like, this is the first time that I'm working like this. And I have to say that I love the unexpected thing. Here we're going to darken this area um, just because we have the, okay, so here we're going to lighter like so. I want to separate the ear because she's looking downwards. If we look at it, she's looking downwards and we don't see this connection to her head of the ear. Okay, so here we're going to go like so. Okay. Okay, and here I'm going to add that darker color. Here, I'm going to scribble in some of that shadow to create a bit of variation more. And here, I'm going to add a bit of that darker shadow color as well. Like so. And here, lighter colors. Just to show that there is like this ear shape. And now she looks like a vampire. She has this very like, um, very like the shape that is not round, very pointy, and makes it look more like a vampire or fairy. I don't know. She's just a little girl. This is the whole point of the book. She's just a little girl who believes in magic and tales and stuff like that. Maybe a bit of this color to unify the ear in general. Let's take a look. Yeah, I think this is good. blend it together here. Okay. So I think we separated this ear well enough. Maybe let's go to the other ear, or we can continue here with the face, because I really like working all around the drawing. Um, let's see. So now here, for example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase this line of the cheek. I don't need it anymore. And I'm going to leave that texture of watercolor of giving that cheek the like the redness. But I also want to try, maybe let's take a bigger color and tone it just a little cinch down. As I said, we're not going for realism here. See how that looks? That makes it look even patchier. Okay, this I think we need to fix it a bit later with the color burn already like merged into the layer. But for now, I'm gonna pick the colors that I have here. I'm going to create the layer of the shape of the face. Fixing the shape of the face. Okay. And as you can see, there are gingers, like literally oranges in her cheeks, because I really like my characters to have those gingery, especially if they're gingers, to have or brown haired, to have those um, to have the cheeks, not only one like pink color, and that's it. And there we go, pink color, and that's it. Okay, here let's make it this cheek like so and blend it out. Okay. Okay. And I think I need to do this already with the color burn layer merged together. Don't like how it's coming along. So for now, I'm gonna add the shadow here under the ear in my hair, because I want to separate the hair from the face. It needs to be darker. This way it's gonna push the face forward and move itself backward. The face, I'm gonna make it lighter. Okay, now what we can do, we can create a new layer over here, and then we have in normal one layer above the color burn. So this one is not going to impact that much the color difference of the color burn. So we can select the colors that we literally see here. And face colors, and separate the face, the cheek from the hair, like so. Yeah, this works better. And here also, like the surprise effect is good, but like in places where we don't have to refine the shape. And then we can go back to that layer which has the surprise effect, like surprise, color you didn't expect. Okay. Now here, I can go back onto my layer that is the unexpected layer. And I can blend in a bit of those yellows into the shadow, those interesting colors, and fix the shape over here. So, picking the colors, moving like so. There we go. Add some of that lighter color to just blend in those areas. Okay, so now you can see the face came forward, the hair moved backwards. I'm gonna select maybe this color for the cheek. And add it here more. Just to tone down a bit. I think this cheek is a bit going crazy. Just to tone it down just a tiny bit. Not a lot, but a tiny bit. Here, you see this color already is more predictable. So okay. Now I like it because otherwise it was yellow. Like I don't want it yellow because in the color burn layer, that's where the yellow area is. Now I'm just gonna pick the colors that I have here straight, excuse me, straight from the face because I'm covering that line and I know where the face goes because of that line where the face is, so I don't lose my shapes when I was drawing this out. Now, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go here. I have this patch thing here that I don't know how it appeared there, and I'm just gonna get rid of it. Okay, and we're already on 47 minutes for today. Let's just finish maybe this kind of face, oval, circle, oval, I don't know. She has this weird kind of beanie shape. Face, head, and here it's in this position where she's kind of looking downwards, so it's kind of squished. Okay, and here again, I'm gonna go into my line. This is cool because when I go to my line and I can erase these lines, I can leave that beautiful, beautiful watercolor texture. And I'm so happy I didn't erase. I didn't merge the line together with my artwork. So here, let's go into this color of blush that she has on her cheek. Like so. And now we know that we need to make this area way darker to make the head come forward. Here I'm blending the two colors together and maybe adding a bit of other hues from other colors. Sorry guys, I'm gonna try not to confuse you. Other colors from around the area of the cheek, but I would like to preserve the texture. Okay, so I'm going to choose this darker color and fix the shape of the hair. Actually, we can do this on this layer under the color burn because it's going to give us more variation in the hair. So if we have these variations in color in the hair, it's not going to look patchy like if we did in the face. So we need to same. Okay. Here I'm gonna go back in and fix that line. Okay. So you can see now we pushed the hair backwards. And here we can add a bit of the darkness even more darkness here to push it backwards. Push it even more backwards and push the face more forward. You see, now we have complete, like, distinctively, you can distinctively see the difference between the face and the hair, even though I was worried that it's the same kind of color. No, we managed to push it away. So yeah, let's finish the oval of the face. Finish this here, and I'm keeping the line just to make sure that I have the proportions correct. And yeah, I can fix it later, but it involves this thinking, oh my God, where do we go from here? Like, where do I need to put that line again? And I already did all the thinking when I was drawing it out. Okay, so for now, I think for today, we're good. We're going to continue tomorrow. It's been 15 minutes. So my challenge for today is done. Yay. So you can see, worked a bit on the hair, worked a bit on the ear, and the face oval in general. And then we will continue moving little piece by piece. Okay? So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.